Fun fact number 805 about tnjugo. I love the Predator franchise. Now I know there are two movies in this franchise. A bit not the greatest, pretty bad, honestly pretty fucking bad. But the ones that are actually pretty good are holy shit, I love this franchise good.
Like, comment, subscribe, it helps.
With me loving Predator, Predators, Predator 2, oh my god, I love Predator 2, as well as Alien vs Predator.
And no, I have not seen the movie Prey, but after watching this shit, I might actually watch that movie, and no, there will not be a review for it.
But I've liked Predator for a very long time now, ever since my papa first showed me the very first movie, and how it kind of synced into my brain a little bit, and even his love for it made my love for it kind of grow even more. But the more older I got, the more I kind of understood, at least the bare minimum, the first Predator movie, of how it's kind of a little bit, just a tiny bit, well not really a tiny bit, a good amount of a parody to a lot of other action movies, but not to the extent of being funny, but just the symbolism of the time period of all these action movies that were out at the time, and sort of how the characters are, where you see these big greasy American men, and then they're just having big M60s shooting it, messing up nature, destroying enemies from a different country, from a foreign land. But then we see until this foreign creature comes out, and he's very honorable, he's very quiet, he's very persistent, he's very dangerous and noble to his mission, with him feeling like a reference to every other country that has been out there that has had a warrior in more ways than one. But it's just to say, I've always loved the Predator, and on top of all this, it's always been an idea that not only I have had, but like many other people have like shouted on the internet for the history of history when it comes to Predator. Why the fuck is the Predator not put into every other place to history, especially after you watch this comic book that has the idea of where the pistol comes in from Predator 2, which is not a canon story, but definitely should be. But it's so easy to have a story whatever time period you would like to have it put in, with warriors inside of it, and then just say Predator, and then it just becomes a peak movie anyway. With this movie feeling like a few mesh of the ideas of that. With this movie, Predator, Killer of Killers, excels at that idea. With this hour and 50 minutes they use perfectly, telling an anthology series between 3 different eras of people, and then having it all come together in the last story. With the first story starting out with a Viking by the name of Urza and her band of Vikings that she takes with her son through land and sea just to take care of this leader called Zoran that has scarred her back in the past when she was a child.
Oh yeah, there's also a Predator.
Then in the next story, it takes us into Japan with 1609 with the 2 brothers by the name of Kenji and Kiyoshi, and they both have to fight for dominance of who's going to be the leader.
Oh shit, it's a Predator again.
And lastly, with the person being Torres, who basically gets drafted into the Navy when his father is like, I'm tired of kind of bailing you out, you have to learn things on your own. So he goes into the Navy and becomes a pilot.
Oh shit, I don't think you're gonna guess this one. I don't know. Oh, it's another Predator!
And before I get to anything when it comes to spoilers, I do want to talk about the things I did like inherently before I get into in-depth review of like what I really liked. But I want to talk about just like the idea of just so many other Predators and how they looked in this series. They looked very fucking cool and have distinct and unique designs to them, especially the era or what they're fighting in was very cool. From hulking to very sleek to actually being tech savvy. Then there's also the animation and the fighting. The animation of fighting was very peak. I did love it even before we even fought with the Predator. Besides the fights with the Predators themselves, those fights are fucking phenomenal. From swords clashing to Viking slaughter, that shit was A1. Then the animation looks very good. It looks a lot like Arcane. I've never seen Arcane at all, but it looks good. But when I thought about all of these stories that come together and the meaning kind of behind them, you can easily say, oh, these are all just kind of revenge stories. At least the first 2 specifically, when we look at the Vikings and how she's going for this revenge for her father, and how she takes all these soldiers with her and even her son with her to basically die in the end, with her being the sole survivor, and sort of just that thing of, oh, I have revenge, so now that I got my revenge, what was it really worth for? Or in the second story with the 2 samurai brothers, with one betraying the other by trying to take the role of being the shogun, and him just basically running away, and him just training for years on end to get that revenge for him betraying him, for him fighting him when he put down his own blade because he loved him, because he thought he was his brother. He thought he would never actually strike him down, but his brother saw him as an obstacle in his way in the end. But with the third story, it makes it abundantly clear what the meaning of all 3 of these stories, and even the 4th story at the end, all mean. They're all about compassion. Starting over from the beginning and working my way back up again, from the first story with the Vikings, you can see in her son's actions. Her son isn't really part of this Viking era. her son really just wants to not be a killer from his actions of not wanting to hurt or kill an unarmed man, or his wariness when his mother tells him, oh, I hope you get blood on your blade, and he's like, I don't know, I don't know. But the son becomes like the rest of the people inside of the group when he ends up killing Zoran, when he actually ends up taking his life with his own blade and staining his blade. He then becomes one of them. You can see on the mother's face, she's like, is this even the right decision? Like, what am I actually doing for a split of a second until the predator attacks? But fast forwarding to the end, she gets her own compassion when she kind of realizes it in the end. Oh my fucking god, my son is dead. The only person I kind of cared about, my son, is gone. Especially with the bloodstain kind of being off of her face from being in the water. That this side of her, this chapter in her life is gone. I'm going to fast forward one more time just to connect this. But it leads her to do a self-sacrifice in the fourth story with all the rest of the characters letting them get away, but her saving everyone else. Her having the compassion to be like, I'm going to risk my own life and actually defend someone else. I have to do things a different way because look how my son ended up. Reigniting something in her that was thought to be long lost or long lost to the wind. That empty void that she even tells you about in the beginning of the story. But then there's a second story with the brothers, Kenjin and Kiyoshi, and how kind of Kenjin gets that lesson as well a bit too late, or in the midst of his brothers dying. At least he can still speak to him in his final words, in his final moments of his brother being alive, telling him he was never really alone. I still love you and I'm still there for you. Especially when Kiyoshi tells him the haiku that they were told as kids, from the leaves of a tree grow side by side, brother. Yet when they fall alone. But his brother tells him, you are not alone. You are not alone, brother. And with this lesson, he takes his lesson, especially when we get to the next story. He doesn't go all out and try to attempt to fight just like how the Viking does. He tries to hear out and tries to speak, even though they have a language barrier between all three of them. He still attempts to work with each other. He still wants to not fight each other. He's like, we have to take care of this new age enemy that is upon us, so I'd rather be us together, having compassion and thinking this through. Then there's the last person by the name of Torres, right? Now the compassion doesn't go towards anyone else, but within himself. The compassion to actually do something on your own, for you to think it through and not to really rely on other people. Specifically when you can do it yourself. Letting others do your work when you know that not everything in life is free, especially when it comes to life. With this lesson coming in 3 times for Torres. One in the beginning when his father's like, I'm tired of bailing you out. You have to learn and do things on your own. He then enlists into the army and he's able to defeat the predator by doing it himself on his own, by using his head and thinking, oh my goodness, this predator's weapon can actually be used against him. Then there's also all the times, especially in the end, where Torres learns how to fly a ship, whether it be from the World War II era to him flying an actual predator's fucking spaceship. But there's one more thing I wanted to talk about before I do get out of here, is this specific thing of, I'm not on the fence of it. I like this new idea and this new direction that we're going with it, but I still miss the original idea of it. And now what I'm talking about is the end of the movie, where we necessarily have all 3 of these characters get picked up and then basically put into stasis, and they have to fight other predators. Now we did have this semi into the other movie Predators, where we had other people just like kind of just kidnapped. They didn't kill predators, but they were just kidnapped and they were taken to fight each other / the other predators in a gladiatory arena. But I like the idea from Predator 2 the most. The idea of, I beat the predator and he kind of reward me for beating him, and it's like, respect, you actually fucking killed one of us. Here's maybe an item or just like, congratulations, good job, fuckhead, and they just move on. But instead, they don't really go free. They all get captured if you kill a predator, and they get put into this stasis, and you have to fight other predators and other machinations until you get to the boss predator. You have to fight him, and God knows what happens if you fight that guy. But on one hand, it feels like it's in character of like, you know what, if I had someone that was really strong and could potentially kill one of us, why not have him try to kill multiple? Let's do it for the hunt, the thrill, the warrior spirit, the battle of it. And on the other hand, it doesn't feel like it's in character of like, at least the way I viewed it was like, they have the respect for you. They have the respect of you killed one of us, the honorable of like we move on from this, we can go to another hunt, another person. But I don't know, that's just kind of my thoughts when it comes to just the idea of Predator, as well as this new animation Killer of Killers, which I highly suggest. Even if you aren't a Predator fan or you want to become one of a Predator fan, watch this. It's definitely fucking worth it, I promise. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for even hearing me babble here and now, even if I might be wrong or right. Who really cares? Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next one. Goodbye.